Friends from the media, good afternoon. Welcome to today's press conference. Now I'll take your questions.
谢谢发言人。总台央视记者提问。
CCTV, as we mark the 10th anniversary this year of President Xi Jinping proposing the building of a China-LAC community with a shared future, how does China assess the progress made and what's China's expectation for the future development of China-LAC relations? 10 years ago, on July the 17th, 2014, President Xi Jinping attended the China-LAC countries' leaders meeting in Brasilia. He delivered a keynote speech entitled Build a Community of Shared Destiny for Common Progress. In the speech, President Xi for the first time proposed to build a China-LAC community with a shared future, which charted a course for China-LAC relations in the new era and was warmly echoed by LAC countries. In the past decade, thanks to the joint efforts of both sides, continuous progress has been made in building a China-LAC community with a shared future, and the relationship between China and LAC countries has ushered in a new era characterized by equality, mutual benefit, innovation, openness, and more benefits to the people. Political mutual trust has been strengthened. President Xi visited the LAC region 5 times, received the leaders of many countries in the region, and had meetings with them on bilateral and multilateral occasions to pull strategic consensus. Practical cooperation has been deepened. China has signed Belt and Road Cooperation MOUs with 22 LAC countries. Annual trade volume between China and LAC countries amounts to nearly $500 billion. China is the second largest trading partner for Latin America and the biggest trading partner for countries including Brazil, Chile, and Peru. People-to-people and cultural exchanges have flourished. Various flagship events were held, including the China-LAC Cultural Exchange Year and the Bridge to the Future China-LAC Young Leadership Training Program, and projects such as the Confucius Institute and the Luban Workshop were implemented, gaining immense popularity for such cultural exchange and mutual learning activities. The China-LAC Forum has made steady progress. Under the forum, a total of over 90 events that cover 28 fields were held, including 3 ministerial meetings. Next year will mark the 10th anniversary of the official launch of the forum. The two sides are in close communication on holding commemorative events. The two sides have worked closely with each other on international coordination. China and LAC countries are committed to true multilateralism and have maintained sound communication and collaboration on global issues. Not long ago, China and Brazil issued the common understandings on political settlement of the Ukraine crisis. It has received active support and response from over 100 countries and sends out the strong message of upholding peace, fairness, and justice and willing cooperation between China and LAC countries. This year and next year, the G20 Summit, APEC Economic Leaders Meeting, BRICS Summit, and the Conference of the Parties of the UNFCCC will be held in Latin America. A shining LAC moment in global governance will be created, and the world once again put the spotlight on LAC, which means important opportunities to the growth of China-LAC relationship. China and LAC countries are developing countries and members of the Global South. China will continue to follow the principle of sincerity, real results, amity, and good faith, and the principle of pursuing the greater good and shared interests, enhance solidarity and cooperation with LAC countries, and work together to put into practice the GDI, the GSI, and the GCI. Further synergize the high-quality Belt and Road cooperation and development strategies of LAC countries, promote steady progress in building a China-LAC community with a shared future, and usher in another decade of brighter development. Next one, please. 路透社，前美国总统特朗普在采访中称，美方将为台湾提供防务支出，中方对此有何评论？
I'd like to stress again that China has always against that in America's election take China as a topic and take advantage of it. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。俄新社记者提。
Ria Novosti, Chief Political Advisor to Hungarian Prime Minister in an interview said that Hungarian Prime Minister submitted a plan on settling the Ukraine issue to EU leaders. Did China receive the plan from Prime Minister Orban?
昨天，王毅外长应约同匈牙利外。
Yesterday, the Minister Wang Yi has made phone call with Foreign Minister of Hungarian, and they've had communication over Hungary's view on the Ukraine crisis and its recent efforts for peace. China commends Hungary for playing a constructive role in mediating for peace. We will work with Hungary to pull more forces for peace and steer the situation toward political settlement. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。北京日报记者提问。
Beijing Daily. Currently,
Beijing Daily, the U.S. State Department said that the U.S. continues to promote accountability in defense of human rights in China and is taking steps to impose visa restrictions on Chinese officials for their involvement in the repression. China's comment. The U.S. once again uses disinformation to smear the human rights conditions in China and abuses visa restrictions on Chinese officials. Such a move constitutes serious interference in China's internal affairs and violation of international law and basic norms governing international relations. China strongly deplores and firmly opposes it. We have launched a serious protest with the U.S. As a countermeasure, China will adopt reciprocal visa restrictions on the U.S. officials who concocted lies, pushed for sanctions against China, and undermined China's interests in the name of human rights issues. Earlier this month, the UN Human Rights Council adopted unanimously China's report on the fourth cycle of the UPR, which fully shows that the international community highly recognizes China's achievement in protecting human rights. The U.S. has no right and is in no position to point fingers at other countries' human rights condition. The international community has long watched and detested how the U.S. manipulates human rights issues. If the U.S. truly cares about human rights, it should abandon double standard, take a hard look in the mirror, reflect on its own human rights violations, and deal with its mounting human rights issues within the U.S. itself, instead of interfering in other countries' domestic affairs and sanctioning them in the name of human rights. Next one, please. 彭博社，美方正在考虑对华采取更加严厉的贸易措施，如果日本以及荷兰的企业仍然对华进行出口的话，中方对此有何评论？
China made clear its position more than once on the U.S. Malicious attempts to block and suppress China's semiconductor industry. The U.S. has overstretched the concept of national security and politicized trade and the concept of national security. They use them as tools to step up control over cheap export to China and coerce other countries to go after China's semiconductor industry. This severely undermines international trade rules and destabilizes global industrial and supply chains. China firmly opposes it. We hope that relevant countries can do the right thing, firmly resist coercion, and jointly uphold a fair and open international trade order to protect their own long-term interests. Next one, please.
Reuters again. We understand that a
路透社最近签署的协议，也就是中非之间的协议，将会建立起 两国总统办公室之间的直接沟通，来防止南海出现失控的局面。中方对此有何评论？
中方始终致
China is always committed to properly handling maritime issues with the Philippines through dialogue and consultation. Earlier this month, at the 9th meeting of the China-Philippines Bilateral Consultation Mechanism on the South China Sea, the two sides talked about improving the maritime communication mechanism between the two countries. China and the Philippines agreed to further enhance communication and dialogue between diplomatic and Coast Guard agencies so as to jointly keep the maritime situation and the overall bilateral relationship stable. Next one, please.
We've noticed that recently the international tourism has grown interests in China. The search in hotel and flights all increased greatly. Data shows that there are 4 times of demand from international market, and there are many vlog videos on the international on the internet. What's your comment on that? Thank you.
很高兴啊。
I'm glad to see more and more foreign friends visit and explore China. I myself have seen quite a few video clips about foreign friends strolling around cities and visiting parks, have a taste of local cuisine, taking tourist boats, and other activities. And this has become very popular in China. Videos about special and unique experience, such as exploring food, seeing pandas, are all going viral on the internet. These are all getting the most thumbs up from foreign viewers. I believe you've noticed our new facilitation measures for cross-border travel. We have rolled out a 15-day visa-free entry policy for 15 countries, including France, and on a trial basis, and expanded the coverage of the 144-hour visa-free transit policy to 33 ports. We now allow visa-free entry for all foreign tourist group traveling by cruise ship. These measures have made foreigners traveling, working, and living in China easier and allow them to fully experience the charm of China as they ride the new trend. Every Chinese city and every scenic spot in China is open to foreign friends who are more than welcome to experience a more open and beautiful China and share their first-hand experience with the rest of the world. We hope more and more foreign friends will come to explore and enjoy their China travel. Next one, please.
谢谢法新社提问。
AFP. Guo Wengui, a businessman of China, was sued for fraud, and the verdict may be 10-year sentence in the prison. What's your comment on that?
郭文贵
Guo Wengui is a man being chased by Interpol. We've noticed related reports. Next one, please.
发言人好，中新社记者提问：2023年。
In November 2023, China and the U.S. held consultations on arms control and non-proliferation in Washington, D.C. Some U.S. senior officials at some occasion accused China of declining a new round of consultation. What's your comment on that? For some time, in disregard of China's firm opposition and representations, the U.S. has sold arms to Taiwan time after time and taken moves that severely undermined China's core interests and our mutual trust, which ruined the political atmosphere for the two countries to continue arms control and related consultations. Thus, the Chinese side decided to suspend discussion with the U.S. on the new round of consultations on arms control and non-proliferation. The responsibility fully rests with the U.S. for where we are today. China stands ready to follow the principles of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation to maintain communication with the U.S. on international arms control. But the U.S. must respect China's core interests and create necessary conditions for the dialogue and exchanges. Next one, please.
日本广播协会提问。
AHK. From today to next week, senior officials from Japan will visit China and they plan to have all-level communication with the Chinese side. What's your comment on this interaction?
China attaches importance to the exchanges and interactions with Japan at various levels and hopes to promote the improvement and growth of China-Japan relations through communication and exchanges. Next one, please.
还有其他问题吗？
Anything else? That'll be the end of today's press conference. Thank you.